something. Ladies and gentlemen, fornication. sorry, for an occasion like this. What I did was what any good geek would do, and of course what Mike did. I jumped on the internet. I spent hours on there and found some really good stuff. And I remembered I was looking for speech ideas, so I persevered. The first thing I found was a piece of advice. It said the best man's speech should last no longer than the groom is able to make love. Okay, to save James's bushes, I'll continue a little longer, which James obviously struggles with. I won't talk for long because I'm quite concerned about my throat, primarily Emma's hands tightly grasped around it. During my research, I found an excellent quote from Winston Churchill. It says that there are only two things more difficult than making an after-dinner speech: climbing a wall leaning toward you, and kissing a girl leaning away from you. Given the time that James and I have spent together in the Air Cadets, I've just about mastered climbing a wall leaning toward me. I'm not quite so sure I've mastered kissing a girl leaning away from me. I've had plenty of practice, so I'll give it a go. James and I met about 6 years ago, and as I'm sure some of you know, we didn't get on too well when we first met. It took one drunken night before we realised we were very similar people. We both have the sense of humour of an 8-year-old. Over the years, I've come to regard James as a loyal, caring, ambitious, interesting... what's that supposed to say? Given the short time I've known James, I've had to rely on his own version of events for most of his life, specifically his education. All I do know is it's taken the majority of his life to complete. Given that the majority of James's long stay in education has been studying disaster management, I felt it'd be interesting to look back at significant events which occurred on James's birthday, the 29th of September. This is what I found. 1997, scientists confirmed the link between mad cow disease and CJ. That's a good start. 1988, the USA launched the first manned space mission since the Challenger disaster. Slightly better. 1978, Pope John Paul dies after the shortest reign in history, 33 days. And of course, 1980, a date that will live in infamy in a hospital in Hereford, forever known as Ugly Sunday. Now, being a best man is a brilliant responsibility and one that I don't take lightly. So what I did was make a checklist of things that I felt my responsibility should include. First of all, bring a chequebook and a credit card for any payments that the groom may have forgotten, or in James's case, too cheap to pay for. Help the groom dress. Well, he managed to do that just about well enough himself. Not a nice sight during the process, but nonetheless. 3, see that any ex-girlfriends are kept at bay, any angry ones especially. I found, however, that they were far from angry. In fact, both of them are out celebrating in Newcastle tonight. Read any correspondence from people unable to attend the ceremony. I do have a couple of letters here which I intercepted. First of all, it is addressed to James. Say they're coming around to collect furniture, James, today. That's from CSA. Sorry, CSA. Second one, I'm presuming, is from a friend of yours from the PhD days. That's Dr. Johnson. He says, James, ensure that you apply the cream liberally to affected areas. Possibly leave it there. I don't think any more would be appropriate. Finally, what I must do is take the opportunity to thank the groom on behalf of the bridesmaids for his fine words. It's amazing what people will say when they're not under oath. But I will echo his sentiments. The bridesmaids have done a fantastic job today and they all look beautiful. Right, now that James and Emma are married, there's probably one thing we need to get straight right now. Given that they're married, it's probably a little bit inappropriate for these gentlemen callers to be coming round whilst James is at work. So what I intend to do now is hold an amnesty. Anybody who has keys for James and Emma's property for the sole purpose of visiting whilst James is out can hand them over now. I have a collection box here for that very purpose. Alright then. Right then, in all seriousness, Emma, you've probably heard this 1,000 times today, but once more won't hurt. You look absolutely amazing. You're a genuinely lovely person who deserves a great husband, a man that can be everything that you've dreamed of your whole life. And James, you've done an amazing job getting Emma down the aisle before she met that man. To give you all a little more insight into James and Emma, last week I spoke to both of them. I asked Emma what she wanted from a marriage. She answered, long-lasting love, happiness and family. Later that day I asked James the same question. He replied, a microwave and a toaster. Over the course of the evening, I'm sure we'll all take the time to learn a little more about James and Emma over a drink on this fabulous day. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the people that have made that possible. Ladies and gentlemen, the bar staff. I'll leave you with one final thought. There are 7 deadly sins, one enough for each day. Have a great honeymoon. You're a fantastic couple, and I've come to regard you both as some of my closest friends. I wish you a lifetime of happiness. I'd like everyone to join me in a toast to the bride and groom.
Bride and groom.
Before I leave you, I have a couple of presentations to make. One that Val gave me this morning, and that, James, that's your official Scouse passport. I was also asked to present you with these 2 teddy bears, which come from your namesakes, apparently, James and Emma. Fantastic day. Thank you very much. Those marks the end of the speeches. Thank you very much.